So, welcome to this Substack Ask Me Anything. I've gotten a question, and this is kind of one of those questions that we hear from the medical community. Okay, so when we're living with pain, this question comes in because some of the research that's out there has stated that pain is in our brain. Okay, now when we say something like pain is in your brain, we start thinking that it's our responsibility, that it's our fault, and we take that on, and it doesn't help our pain experience. So we need to be able to approach this, as I usually do, from that bigger picture. And how we look at it is that pain isn't really specifically in your brain. Yes, a part of your brain, your nervous system, is responsible for creating those neural pathways, but we're responsible as well. Okay, we can do things to change those neural pathways. We can practice different techniques. We can have patience with ourselves. We can pay attention to different triggers that we might have. But pain, when we tell someone specifically that pain is in your brain, it can bring on a whole host of things. Now, it does open the conversation up as to, well, where does pain come from? Yes, our pain system is not how we used to think it was. If, let's say, I slam my hand in a car door, the sensation doesn't travel up to my brain as pain and go, hey, there's pain, we need to do something. Okay. And then we experience all this pain. We don't. What ends up happening is if you shut your hand in a car door, there is clearly a very different pressure sensation that happens within your skin. And that pressure, chemical, or temperature change that happens in your skin goes straight to your spinal cord as a signal, not a pain signal, just a signal. And your spinal cord has a reflex ability that goes, oh, there was something that happened here that is very different, chemical, temperature, pressure, and it reflexes your hand back. Okay. And then a sensation, a signal, not a sensation, I shouldn't use that word in terms of that, but a signal goes up to your brain and says, hey, brain, we've had something go on in this left hand here, and there might be some damage. So can we look at the situation? Your brain looks around and goes, oh, well, there's a car door that was there, and like the hand's all like this. And it goes, oh, yeah, that's going to be a problem. We have some damage to the body. Now, as much as your brain is doing this and looking at the story of it and processing how to not let it happen again, okay, that's what it files in its memory. Don't stick your hand there on a car door. It also is receiving signals from the different chemicals that have been released due to inflammation in those tissues. And those can create a sensation as well. So to say that pain is in your brain, yes, in a chronic pain way, your brain, your nervous system has developed certain neural pathways that have created a hypersensitivity to pain, to a body part. All right. But there's also a lot more that goes on. So when we look at treating chronic persistent pain, we need to be able to look at this big picture. And here's the deal. If you're someone watching this and you are living with persistent pain, don't feel like you need to learn all of this. All right. What you need to do is find a health professional that has training in this new understanding of how pain works in our body. If you are still working with someone who's saying, well, you have pain because your glutes don't work. We need to strengthen your core because that'll protect your back. Well, you've got one shoulder a little higher than the other. That's going to cause issues in your neck. And we think about it and it's like, well, that totally makes sense. If my shoulder's higher, it's creating more tension in this muscle. It's going to put more pressure here. It's going to create pain. However, nobody has perfectly balanced shoulders. Nobody has perfectly symmetrical legs. And in terms of that whole weakness of glute that's contributing to your back pain, there's a good chance that the biomechanics that you've been compensating because of your back pain have contributed to your glutes weakening. So let go of everything and try and find someone who has some sort of training in this new understanding of pain. Ideally, a little bit from the group in Australia, okay, the NOI group, where there's pain education, okay, pain neuroscience education, PNE, or PRT, which is pain reprocessing therapy, which does work a lot from the standpoint of working with your brain to help calm your nervous system. When I took the training, I really liked the fact that it blended into somatic tracking, which is paying attention to your body. Now, ideally, you work with someone who can get your body moving again. So you build the confidence, the strength back into that movement. And I don't want to say, hey, that's me, but hey, that's me. We work from all these different aspects so that we can put together the right puzzle pieces for you to be able to build your path back to wellness. All right. Now, with that question, because it's a pretty big question, is pain in your brain? Well, yeah, it is. When it's chronic pain, there's a part of your nervous system and brain that have adjusted and created a level of hypersensitivity to sending you pain signals to try and protect you from sticking your hand in a car door or whatever else it sees as dangerous, which could be as ridiculous as, say, having to drive your kids to their next activity, right? But there's no danger in it. But for some reason, your nervous system goes, ooh, you're going to be sitting in a car. Ooh, you're going to be under a time crunch. Ooh, you have all these other things to do. And it sees that as dangerous. So it sends signals to try and get you out of the car. And then you're like, oh, I have to drive my kids and my back hurts when I drive my car. All these things blend in. So we're going to start breaking it down. And the best analogy I have, like I've said before in the past, is a giant puzzle. And when you're living with persistent pain, it's like a 2,000 piece puzzle. And when you're trying to fix your pain and find that answer, it's like that 2,000 piece puzzle is one color. Do you know how hard it is trying to do a one tone puzzle, let alone 2,000 pieces? So let's add some colors, try and figure out how other parts are playing in. And ideally, that 2,000 piece puzzle turns into a very colored mosaic of a 100 piece puzzle, right? So you still have puzzle pieces that you need to fit in, but it's easier to see where they go and how everything fits together. Now, with that being said, I have an exciting announcement. I have been asked to co-lead a discussion at the International Association of Yoga Therapists at their SITAR conference in June. And it's a 3-hour discussion on pain and yoga. All right. I've been teaching yoga since 1998. I started with Ashtanga Yoga. In 2006, my teacher, Norman Sojman, introduced me to critical alignment yoga therapy. I had a couple injuries from racing skeleton, and he thought it would be a great fit. It was an amazing fit, and I can thank him every day for pointing me in that direction. Once I finished that training, because part of it has to do with anatomy and biomechanics, it helped me blend the kinesiology degree I had in with the Ashtanga yoga practice to create not that same Ashtanga yoga practice. I just was able to find a deeper connection to it. And through that, I ended up, not because of the yoga, okay, but because of things that were happening in my life, ended up after my second child having, well, during the first one, but second one, having and living with persistent back pain. From that point, I got into doing my critical alignment therapy. I was teaching yoga for backs. And I went to my physiotherapist. I was going to acupuncture, osteopath, massage therapy. And I would leave those appointments hardly being able to put on my shoes. There were some appointments where I couldn't even close my car door because my spine was so reactive. I could not literally come off of perfectly perpendicular. Okay. With that, I asked my critical alignment teacher, Hert Van Leeuwen. I'm like, what's going on? I'm doing all the things. I'm doing the appointments. I'm doing this. And he sent me Basil Van Koch's book, The Body Keeps the Score. And I have to say, this is why when I talk to people who are living with persistent pain, I try not to overload them with all of these facts. So like I mentioned, find someone to help you. And realistically, this is why I have a 5-day, no cost, free program on my website, because you need to start somewhere to find a bit of a path. And you don't want to be overwhelmed by all of this information. Okay. So with that book, I started reading it. I couldn't. The place I was dealing with my persistent pain and the reasons I had it, being told that it was my body keeping the score and all of the other feelings and emotional aspect that was going on with my persistent pain was too much. It was too overwhelming. Luckily, I found another friend who pointed me towards Explain Pain. And through that process, I was able to look at it through a different lens where I could detach what I was doing, see how it was affecting me. And after learning that process, was able to dive deeper and really look at what was going on through my body, keeping this score, right? So with all of that being said, I'm so excited to be talking and doing that co-lead discussion group with the International Yoga Therapy Association, International Association of Yoga Therapists. It's in June in Atlanta. If you happen to be around there, come and visit me. Otherwise, before I head there, I've put together an 8-hour training. Okay. With everything that I've just talked about, how part of this is our brain and nervous system, what we can do about it, but how we blend these little pieces together, especially when we're movement professionals, to be able to work with someone to get them back on that path towards wellness. All right. That training is coming up at the end of March 21st, 22nd. It is an 8-hour training, but it's only 6 hours in person because there's going to be a 1-hour video series that you're going to watch beforehand so that we start all on the same page. As movement professionals, some of us might be coming from teaching yoga. Some of us might be coming from a fitness perspective, teaching group fitness classes. Some of us may be personal trainers. Some of us might be kinesiologists. Some of us might be in other different health professions, but we want to know how we can start learning about pain science, about how we can talk better and involve our clients with this process that is highly effective. Okay. So it's 1 hour beforehand. You're going to get a video series 2 weeks before the training. At the training, we've got 3 hours on the Friday night, 3 hours on the Saturday afternoon. You're going to be going home with homework. All right. So if you're part of this training, you're heading home with homework. And in order to get the 8-hour certification, you do need to give me that homework fully completed. We're going to have a little discussion about it. It might be about 15 minutes, but that's that extra hour. Okay, so do look for it. There is an early bird discount available until March 7th. You can find all the information on my website, through my Substack notes if you look. But if you have any questions, please just comment below and I will answer anything. I look forward to talking in the next Ask Me Anything Substack, probably in about 2 weeks. And I will see you then.